Dungeons & Dragons, an extremely well-known tabletop role-playing game, originally designed by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson and published by Tactical Studios Rules Inc. in 1974. It incorporates fantasy elements from across different existing franchises like wizards, bards, taverns, elves, goblins, dungeons, and, well, dragons. All the while creating their very own concepts, creatures, and locations to make it its own distinct world. The thing that many people attribute to D&D's success is its freedom of creativity. Players can create their own character with an insanely in-depth character creation system, where you can pick a race, class, subclass, features, abilities, proficiencies, background, equipment, and personality, etc. It also allows people to create their own worlds using its rules, whether it takes place in a pre-established official world or a separate original world made by a fan. The possibilities are pretty much endless, and that's the beautiful thing about this game. You can invent and make new creatures, characters, and places using the rules that D&D establishes. Or you can change the rules and invent mechanically as well as creatively. Because that's what Dungeons & Dragons is at its core. It's a set of rules, norms, and customs to be shaped into practically anything. D&D is primarily played in the player's imaginations, with minifigures and maps to help guide their thoughts and know vaguely what things around their characters look like. So how do you translate infinite potential and freedom into a video game? Well, the short answer is, you can't. There will always end up being restrictions somewhere down the road. That's just the nature of video games. But Larian Studios got about as close as anyone's ever gonna get, I think. In 2016, a small team started working on a new installment in their D&D-based series called Baldur's Gate. After 7 long years of development, in August 2023, Baldur's Gate 3 was released. Collaborating with and directly basing the game on Dungeons & Dragons, players could make their own character using largely the same rules as D&D itself, though obviously slightly more restricted. It puts you in a pre-written story, like practically any game of D&D does, and while it does have pre-chosen dialogue options instead of the total complete freedom of regular D&D, you basically never feel like there's any options missing. Everything you could possibly want to do or say is present in the game. In my eyes, a sign of a good role-playing game is being able to kill any character at any time, and the game is affected by it in some way. Well, guess what? You can do that in Baldur's Gate 3, and the consequences can be extremely game-changing. From killing playable companion characters, making them unavailable to you unless you resurrect them, to slaughtering an entire camp of tiefling refugees, which has serious ramifications on what characters appear later in the game and what options your companions have to complete their personal quests, to murdering some random looters that don't really end up mattering. The point is, you never know what characters are going to be important and appear later on, and which characters aren't. That's why it's so important to choose carefully, because the things you do in this game have very real and very big consequences. The game's plot isn't really what this video is about, but it basically revolves around a new cult that's appeared, and that you need to stop it. You can actually choose to join the cult, act according to their values, and be evil if you so desire. That is how the pure creative freedom of Dungeons & Dragons was adapted into Baldur's Gate 3. With absolutely zero options taken away from you within realistic expectation, Baldur's Gate 3 is without a shadow of a doubt in my mind the closest we have ever come to complete freedom, the thing that D&D embodies so well, in a video game.